Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to do 4 different colored layers of foil using a image editor called GIMP. And it's a free image editor, so you can download it for free, and it's very powerful. You can do a lot with it. And here's a picture of one that I colored afterwards and one that's not colored. So let's get going. Okay, first things first, we need to download the software. So we're going to the GIMP webpage and we're going to download GIMP directly. And you'll see that it's coming up there on the left-hand bottom of my screen. It's downloading. Now I already have it installed, but I'm going to kind of go through the motions anyway, just so you can see how to install an application. I wasn't sure, my last tutorial, that people were clear. So you would click install here and Windows might pop up and say, do you want to let something change anything? And you would say yes, but in this case I'm canceling. Next we need to download some free brushes, and I can verify that this My Photoshop Brushes website does not try to make you buy things or sign up for anything. You can just simply download free brushes. So it's myphotoshop.com and then you click brushes. And then you can scroll through their thousands of brushes and download some. So I'm going to choose these flowers because you've seen me use these flowers already. Specifically that rose, or you will, you will in the future. So I've got it in my downloads folder. Now I need to sort things out in my downloads folder. I was doing some cleaning. So I want to sort these by the date they were modified, and I don't want them grouped at all, because this way the very last thing that I had is at the top left. So I'm going to just right mouse click and I'm just going to choose copy, and then I'm going to go to this PC. I'm going to go to local disk C. I'm going to go to users. I'm going to go to admin because that's me. I'm going to go to app data. I'm going to go to roaming. I'm going to go to GIMP. I'm going to go to 2.10. I'm going to go to brushes. And I'm going to right mouse click in the empty space and choose paste. Now the zip file appears there. I'm going to right mouse click it. I'm going to go to 7-zip and I'm going to go extract here. Now I already have this file, so I'm just going to say no. Otherwise it would just simply extract and it would appear in GIMP. So we'll go ahead and get over to GIMP and see if we can find our brush. I'm kind of a brush junkie, so it is what it is. And never mind the picture that you see in GIMP. I was going to show you a simpler way, but my screen recorder did not want to cooperate. So I just said, forget it. I'm just going to move on to the more complex one. So right now I have a mushroom brush, and I need to show my window where my brushes are. So I'm going to go to the Windows section, and I do apologize. Some reason GIMP and my screen recorder don't play well. And I'm going to go to dockable windows, and I'm going to go to tool options. And that's going to open these tools over on the right hand side. And here I can scroll for my flower brush. And I have, like I said, a lot of brushes. So, depending on how many brushes you have is where you're going to find it. Plus that the thumbnails are pretty small, so they're kind of hard to see. And if you go too fast, you can pass right by it. But it's there somewhere. And I'm just going to grab any old one at this point, just because I could sit here scrolling for half an hour. And there's my brush, and I would just click it. And of course, GIMP freezes up on me now. And so moving right along, let's go ahead and get started on our project here. So what I have here is I'm going to grab a new file, and I'm going to measure it by inches. And I want it to be 8.5 by 11 inches. And I'm just going to click OK. And there's my blank file, so that's a good start. And you guys will have to excuse me. I got a sore throat today, so I'm not having a lot of fun. I'm going to grab my paintbrush tool, and I'm going to add a layer. So there's a little layer icon down in the left in the right hand side to the far left, and that adds an empty layer, so it's blank, it's transparent. You can't see it, but it's definitely there. We need to do this file in layers. And now what I'm trying to do is select my brush, and GIMP is deciding that it doesn't want to cooperate. There it goes. It doesn't act like this if you're not screen recording, but there's really just takes up a lot of my computer's random access memory to run both at the same time. And I probably have 19 Google browser windows open and my email and all the other junk. So my poor computer's just squealing here, saying, please, please, please. I know I passed it. Where'd it go? There it is. See, I just keep going right by it. All right, there it is. Okay, now when you grab a brush, the brush shape's going to appear in your window. And I'm going to click that brush multiple times because I want it dark and high contrast as possible. And it seems to me that I noticed that I can't really see this very well, so I'm going to zoom in. And there I can see the size of my brush, and then I can move my window so that my rose comes up in my window by using the slider bars to the right, to the left. So I noticed there that my brush, I moved it when I was clicking, and so I've got a double image, so I need to start over. You press the Control key on your keyboard plus Z, the letter Z, to undo. And see, I'm undoing all those layers, and now I'm going to go back in and redo them. Okay, here we go. So I'll click multiple times and try to hold my mouse still. Okay, so that's much, much better. And then I've got that first layer. Now I'm going to grab the selection tool. And what I want to do is I want to remove the stem. So I'm just going to take and draw basically, well, you'll see. So you just move your mouse with the cursor on the screen, and right here you'll see where it decided to do its own thing because again I'm screen recording. So let's start over with that. Oh, good grief. Well, I do apologize. Let me go ahead and put my flower down again. I click it 5 or 6 times until it's nice and dark. Now, let's grab that selection tool again. Come on, let's go. Again, when you're doing this, there we go. When you're doing this without a screen recorder going, it's going to be just fine. I'm going to zoom and see where my flower is sitting first of all, because I need my placement. So I'm using the move tool just to move my flower up to where I want it. Because once you get everything in place, if you move it later, it could break things, and you'll see that at the end of this. So there I've got this tool. I'm zoomed out and I'm just drawing around, and this tool, it looks like a little lasso. Okay, it selected it, so I'm going to hit on my keyboard Control X, and then I'm going to hit Control V, and it's going to paste it right back in place. And now I've got that as a new layer. So now I've got the flower head layer and I've got the foliage layer. I'm adding a new layer from the layers panel, and I want to go ahead and add my bird. So let me find him. Let me get to the paintbrush and find the little hummingbird. There he is, and I'm using the silhouette. I've tried it with the regular image, but it really doesn't foil properly. So the point here is to foil it. And then I'm sizing down my brush in the tool options panel. And he's going to lay over top. So, you know, I need to keep in mind what that's going to look like. And once I'm kind of happy with where the placement is, and this is what I love about the brushes showing their shape, is that you can really see where you're placing something. And I click a couple of times just to make sure it's nice and dark. And so now I've got that layer on there. Now all I need to do is the background layer. in order to do that, but first I'm going to, I want to make a little eye in my little hummingbird. So I'm going to zoom in all the way. And the keyboard shortcuts are so much different in this from Photoshop. Every time I try to use a keyboard shortcut that I'm used to, I mess something up. So I'm not using keyboard shortcuts except for, Control X, Control C, Control V, like Victor, are always the same. So I'm using that little ellipse tool and just drawing a little kind of eye there on my hummingbird, that because I don't want that part to foil. And then I'm just going to hit the delete key to delete it out of the bird. And then I'm going to go down to the flower layer and hit the delete key again. So all I did was go to my layers in my layer panel on the far right side. And there now we've got a little eye and it's white. So I'm going to zoom back out. Okay. So I'm happy with everything there so far. Now I need to go and grab a background. And the background I'm going to use is, first I'm going to create a new layer. And I'm going to move that layer to the bottom by basically just moving this other layer up. And all you have to do is just drag and drop. It just doesn't want to behave because I'm in GIMP and I'm screen recording. But generally, if you grab, mouse click on that, it'll move the layer. Okay, so I've got an empty layer. Now I'm going to go over to one of my favorite folders and I'm going to grab a file. And I'm going to grab, what did I just grab? The music file, I believe. And I'm just dragging it and down to the icon on my taskbar, and then when GIMP opens up, letting go of my mouse. Now I need to turn this around because it's going the wrong direction. There we go. Then I'm going to grab my move tool and I'm going to move it to where I want it, and then I'm going to size it because obviously I don't want it that big. I'm just trying to use 1/4 of this whole sheet of paper. So we'll wait for our size tool to come up. Let's try it from the regular menu. For some reason, the regular menu items want to work, but the icons don't. And this is just going to size it down to where I want it. And then you hit enter, and there it is, the size I want it. Now I'm going to grab the mover tool again and move it over a bit. But still, so that's not going to foil properly because it's not black and white. So we're going to have to change something here. And I'm going to zoom back in here. And what I want to do is I'll just move the little slider bars on the top, on the side and bottom. And I'm going to grab my selection tool, and I'm going to use the color select. And I'm going to click, and it's going to select all of the kind of ecru color. And then I'm going to grab the fill tool. So the bucket. And I want to fill it with the background color because, again, the colors that you see on the top left, the black and white colors, they are set at default, and the background color by default is black. So I'm inverting my selection now, and I'm going to fill that with the foreground color. That's going to ensure that it's fully black and white. Now it is grungy. It's supposed to be grungy. I'm good with that. Not a problem. It doesn't want to fill because it's decided to crash here a minute. It'll be fine. It'll fill in a second. I'm just sort of clicking around until it fills. There we go. Good. Now I'm going to go to the select menu and select none. Okay. Then I'm going to go and select my flower layer by pressing the Alt key on the keyboard and the little square over there to the right, and that's going to select the flower layer. And then I'm going to go back to layer 2 that you see and press delete. So I'm doing that with each layer. And what that's going to do is going to delete the music background there for each layer. So to select what's in the layer, you select the layer, press the Alt key on your keyboard and click, and you see where it puts little marching ants around. That selects the layer. Then that selection will stay like that, and then you can move to whatever layer you want to delete the background. So that's all we're trying to do, is delete this background. And of course, there are parts of the flower that are transparent, so you'll see that we need to also go in with an eraser tool to clear the rest of that out. So I've clicked the eraser tool. Now I'm just going to grab a round eraser brush. I'm going to make sure that I'm on the music background so you can see that it created its own layer. And I'm just erasing within that flower petals, within the flower petals. And you can see the little lines and stuff removing. It doesn't have to be perfect, you know. It turns out pretty small. So you see where everything's in place. My bird's in place, my flower's in place, my music's in place, my stem and leaves are in place. Somehow, before I printed this out, I somehow moved my bird and didn't notice it. So pay attention to that before you start printing. Make sure everything's in place by zooming in. Don't be a me. I mean, it's no big deal, and you'll see it still foils just fine, but if any of the parts are overlapping, then the foil overlaps and it leaves little bumpity bumps in it, you'll see. So foil won't foil over itself, not toner foil anyway. Hot foil will, but toner foil will not. It will only foil over a sticky surface, which would be your ink from your laser printer. So, and even though it doesn't feel sticky to you, I guess it has some sort of sticky in it. I don't know. I don't know the science. I just know what works. So I'm just going through, and you notice I changed the size of my eraser so I could get into those small spaces. Now I'm going to zoom back out because I don't want that black around there because that will foil, and I don't want it to be part of the picture because I'll be trimming it out anyway, but I just don't want to use that big of a piece of foil if I can help it. So I'm going to grab the rectangle selection tool. No, I don't want that one. At first I grabbed the regular magic wand selection tool, but I want the rectangular one. And I'm going to go ahead and select around where the part that I want to keep. Okay, just by click and drag from top left to bottom right. And then I'm going to go to the select menu on the top. And I'm going to invert my selection, and then I'm just going to press the delete key on my keyboard. And there are pictures ready to roll. Now here's what you do. You've got your 4 layers, right? You want to start with your bottommost layer. So you're going to go and click the little eyeball and hide the other layers. So you'll see there's the empty space after I've hidden the layers. And you see little eyeballs over there to the right. So we're like this, and we're going to go ahead and print this one out. And I'm going to send it to my Canon printer. All right, I have it printed out here. Well, it's printing. And sorry about the light. I can't have my bright light on when I'm using my ink because it flickers and bugs me. So there you can see I printed it with the empty space. And I'm going to go ahead and foil that part. So I'm going to grab some off gold. I don't have any regular gold right now. And I've got my giant, this is 12 by 12, this carrier sheet. So you could do a full sheet of paper. You could do a full 12 by 12 sheet of paper if you had 12 by 12 foil. And a printer that could handle 12 by 12, but we're not going there, not right now. I'm going to go ahead and dust off my picture, even though it just came out of the printer, just to make sure there's no little debris. And then kind of dust off my foil and lay it down, and I'll send it through the ink. And I do have my ink temperature set to 4. Well, it accidentally just set itself to 5 because I pressed the button, but it was set to 4. Now it takes quite some time to run a 12 by 12 folder through this Mink, and believe it or not, by the time it's pulled all the way through, the top part is pretty much cooled. You can see that's pulling the foil right up. There's a lot of static too. So you can see here where it foiled everything but the empty space. And that's good because we're going to print the next layer in the empty space. That's exactly what we're looking for. All right, so back to GIMP. I'm going to hide the music layer now, and I'm going to show the rose layer, and I'm going to print. And you'll see when it comes out of my printer, it's, prints in black, obviously. So there it is in black. So I'm going to go ahead and foil that. And I'm going to use red foil for this. Again, the foil will not stick to itself, and it won't stick to white spaces. So I'm just going to cut a big enough piece that I need here to cover my rose. And you'll see the foil doesn't stick to foil here. Not at all. And we'll go ahead and run that through the Mink. And believe me, by the time it comes out of the Mink, it's cooled. The top portion is cooled anyway. So let's pull this out and pull our foil off and go on to the next layer. Foiled perfectly. I am using the Hammermill 65-pound cardstock. I'll link down below. All right, back to GIMP. Let's hide the rose. And let's show the stem and go ahead and print the stem out. And of course, we're on to the Mink here, back to real life. There the stem's been printed out, and I'm going to go ahead and foil that with green. Now the sky's the limit on the amount of layers you can do here. It just depends on how patient you are with walking back and forth to your printer. I have mine out in the hallway, so, I get my steps in a little bit. And I'm just going to cut a piece big enough to kind of fit over that, dust everything off, lay it down, close it up, run it through the Mink. Now you do need to, in my opinion, unless you have a printer that can print nicely in small format, I'm using an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, so I have to use the big Mink. If you use a laminator, make sure it's heated up for a good 30 minutes before you start, and use a piece of parchment paper or something as a carrier. In my opinion, I got this Mink from Joann. It was on sale for like 79 bucks. Couldn't beat that deal. I mean, I realize the laminator you can get for 20 bucks, but honestly, the Mink works perfect. All right, so down to our last layer here, our little birdie. So I'm just going to show the bird and see, I don't even notice that it moved. So when I go to print it out, it prints out off register a little bit. It's okay. I'm going to leave it because I don't feel like doing the whole thing over. Here you can see where it printed kind of off. I'm going to go ahead and foil him anyway, and I'm going to foil him with some rainbow. So just double check, zoom in your picture and make sure everything, all the placement is correct on each layer. I'm not sure how I moved that layer, probably when GIMP was stalling out on me. I was trying to move something, didn't even notice. I'm going to do him in rainbow, which is what I did the other one with. You could even do the hummingbird in layers if you wanted. You could do the beak one color, you could do the wings one color, you could do the body another color. You would just have to basically kind of dismantle him in your photo editing. Now, I know I've told you I use Photoshop. That's my editor of choice. I've been using it for almost 30 years. So I'm pretty professional at it. I wanted to show you GIMP because it's free. And yeah, I don't want you to have to buy something. But Adobe Elements or Photoshop Elements would work fine. Paint Shop Pro would work fine. Whatever editor you have that's capable of supporting layers and brushes. So I've got 4 layers of foil, 4 different colors of foil on one image. I can turn my big light on now that my mink's off, so you can see all the colors. And actually that white shadow would be okay. Here's one that I did yesterday, and I colored it. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed and learned something from this video. And if you like it, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment in the comments down below. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Hey, I'm back. I just wanted to show you, I made a quick video just to show you how to change some settings here in GIMP so that's more pleasing for you to use. So these windows, you can scooch them around any way you want to. But to like get different colors, a different background, different icons, you're going to go to edit and then you're going to go to preferences. And if you go under interface for the theme, you can set your theme because maybe you like a darker theme. Me, I don't do that well. I need a light theme, but not white. So I go with the light theme, and then your icon theme, you can change that as well, because as you see with my videos, earlier videos, you can barely see the icons, but if you put them in color, of course that's going to use more of your system resources. It's a lot easier to see them. So if you're blind like me, you can definitely change those around to how you like them. And I know this should have been at the beginning of the video, but I'd already done my voiceover and I wasn't going to do it over again. I have a sore throat today. So just wanted to show you how much cooler that looks. All right, here we go. Bye-bye.